My tag on my shirt is itching and I like want to change out of it, but I don't want to go get changed. Hey besties, and welcome back to Feral Fridays, where I talk about whatever I feel like talking about. Today, y'all are getting a story time about the weirdest thing that a stranger has ever said to me in public. And this was at work, which makes it even weirder. The amount of times that I ask myself if this really happened, but I had a coworker right next to me who, as soon as it happened, was like, what the hell was that? They're like, yeah, I can attest this actually happened. It's so weird. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that this actually happened. So let's set the scene. I'm at work, and at this point I worked at a bank. It's a small bank, kind of a neighborhood bank. Everyone knows everyone for the most part. We knew all the regulars. There were people that would come in that we didn't recognize, but we knew everyone. You know, I got a couch from one of the regulars. I'd get Christmas gifts from the regulars. I have literally a blanket one of the regulars knitted for me for Christmas. We got really close with a lot of our regulars. So again, it was a neighborhood bank. We all knew each other. They also have some very old school beliefs there. At least certain people do. Certain bosses do. So one of the things was no visible tattoos. This guy always had to be hidden, especially because if y'all know anything about this guy, it's a Wiccan symbol. Most people that came in were very Christian. It wasn't like a Christian bank, but the neighborhood had quite a few churches. It was a very Christian area. I wore this necklace a lot. So I was wearing it that day. If you can see where it sits, it's right in the neckline of my shirt. So a lot of the time it would be right under the neckline. And it was fine then, because people don't understand what the pentacle actually means, which is fine. If you don't understand it, that's fine. But it's not a sign of evil. I also, every single day, would wear this. It's my favorite crystal. This is my bloodstone. It was always on me. Also, if you're new to this channel, hi, I am a practicing Wiccan. This is just basic information to know about me. Also, if you're new to this channel, I live in Salem, Massachusetts. I don't think that it's strange to find Wiccans in the Halloween capital of the world. One time I had a customer come up to me and she saw my necklace and she goes, oh, are you a witch? And this was probably a teenage girl. And I'm like, oh, Wiccan actually. And she's like, oh, like I am too. And she was so excited to find somebody else that had like a professional job that wore a symbol of our religion. But this day was something else entirely. So this middle-aged, slightly older man comes in. I'd say it was a while ago, but if I try to remember, probably around between 55 and 60 age-wise, I would guess. You know, I'd seen him before, but I didn't actually know him. It was one of those things like he came in like maybe 3 times a year. I don't know. I wasn't familiar with this person. I was working as a teller that day, and I called him up to my station to help him. Again, wearing both these necklaces, but I don't even know if the pentacle was showing or if it was tucked inside my shirt like this, because that just happened a lot by default. I call this man up. I'm trying to just help him do his basic banking as you do when you work at a bank. And then this man says to me something just completely out of nowhere. He asked me, are you a witch? Maybe it's not completely out of nowhere, because then he said I saw the crystal, so I was wondering, so maybe it wasn't completely out of nowhere, but it had nothing to do with the conversation. So I told him, oh, I'm a practicing Wiccan. It's not what most people think when they think witchcraft. He then tells me, oh, my wife is dead. Okay. My response was, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, because what do you say to that? Like, are you asking me if I'm a witch because you want me to bring her back? That's not how Wicca works. It's just not. He then tells me that he still, at his home, has a large collection of crystals because they were all hers. She was very into crystals. So I'm like, oh, like now that makes sense to me. I'm like, oh, like that's so nice that you still have those. Like at least you still have something from her. Because I'm uncomfortable at this point. What do you say when somebody is talking about how their spouse passed away? It's not like I'm a therapist. I'm working at a bank trying to do your transaction. And y'all, I'm not heartless. Like, I'm not like a, oh, sucks, goodbye. But like, the amount of customers that we go through in a day, I gotta keep the line moving. Did I also mention that I'm neurodivergent, and if I'm in work mode, I'm not necessarily in let me be your personal therapist mode. Switching modes isn't super easy on my brain. At that point, I happen to glance next to me and I see my coworker sitting next to me just giving this look like, what is happening? Why is he talking to you about his dead wife? Like, just the look on this coworker's face. And I try not to laugh because If you saw the look, you would understand. This man then has the audacity. Maybe audacity is the wrong term, but the gall, the wherewithal, I don't know where it came from and who would ever say something like that. He looks at me and just goes, "Do you want my dead wife's tarot cards?" My brain exploded. My coworker was sitting next to me, I watched his jaw drop. I could see his jaw literally drop. His eyes widened, his jaw dropped. I'm over here trying not to laugh because like, just the coworker's face. I told the man, "Oh, like, I appreciate that, like, thank you, but no thank you." And he got a little upset, a little offended. And he's like, "Oh, you don't want her tarot cards?" And that's when I had to explain, like, no, like, I do read tarot, I do have tarot cards, but I don't like to use somebody else's cards. I like to use my own cards. I like to have a new deck where I know where all the energy in the cards comes from. If you don't believe in tarot, if tarot's not your thing, that's totally fine. That's just my belief system on tarot. I'm not saying everyone needs to do tarot. I'm not gonna push that on people. I just personally don't want to get a secondhand tarot deck. I literally keep my tarot cards in a pouch with me most of the time. I would bring them to work every day at this point because where I lived, I didn't want to ever leave them alone. I did a reading for my friend with my cards literally yesterday. You can tell this poor box, these cards have been through some stuff. I have a whole collection of cards, but like this is my tried and true, will slap me in my face deck of tarot cards. I'm not gonna take some strangers' secondhand cards. I know nothing about the person that they belong to, other than the fact that her husband came into the bank I worked at. This man was not happy that I did not want his dead wife's tarot cards. I understand that from his perspective, it was probably, oh, my wife loved this. I found someone else that likes this. I can repurpose them to somebody that will appreciate them instead of them just sitting there. I get that that was probably his mindset. When they say no thank you, don't get upset. The man was extremely icy to me for the entire rest of the transaction. He just gave me the cold shoulder, had such an attitude towards me. And I'm just sitting there like, what do you want from me, my dude? Like, what do you expect me to say? You don't go up to a stranger and say, "Hey, do you want my dead wife's tarot cards?" That's not something you do. The second that he walked out the door, my coworker that was sitting next to me turned around and just goes, "Did I hear what I think I just heard? What the hell was that?" I explained to the coworker in depth the reason that I won't use someone else's tarot cards. You know, if they believe in magic, you don't know what type they believe in. Even Wicca, there's so many different subsects of it. I don't personally follow a very specific subsect. I kind of follow my own path on it. I have a friend that was very opposed to me being Wiccan when she found out because one of her family members dabbled in dark magic, more similar to voodoo or hoodoo when she was young. So she had just that stance on magic as a whole. One of the things that I'm big on is the rule of threes. Not everyone believes it, but I feel like most belief systems have something aligned with the rule of threes, which is also kind of karma. Or even the Christian religion has do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The rule of threes is just whatever you put out there, you get returned to you threefold. If you put out something positive, you're gonna get threefold the positivity. If you put out something negative, you're gonna get threefold the negativity. My biggest stances when it comes to my beliefs are the rule of threes, and never do anything that interferes with somebody else's free will. I know that a lot of the Christian religions, people by default are like, I'm praying for this person. In theory, the equivalent is I will do a protection spell for this person, but I will never do that without getting that person's okay first. I do feel like the Christian religion prays for other people without talking to them first and getting their permission to pray for them. I understand that it comes from a place of good intentions. I just personally don't believe in whatever your belief system is, doing anything that involves another person without their permission. Two of my good friends are actually very Christian, and we've had conversations where one of them, if she's going through stuff, I'll say, do you want me to do a spell for you or manifest for you? I know that you don't like witchcraft, but it's my version of praying. She understands where I come from. She understands that I'm not invoking anything dark, that I'm not going to do anything that takes away her free will. She understands. When I go through stuff, right now, I was texting her about how I'm stressed about the wedding. She won't pray for me unless she says, can I pray for you to help with the stress? And that is how easy it is to be friends with somebody with a different belief system. That is how easy it is to be tolerant of other religions and to be friends with somebody of another religion. That is how to have friends with different religions and not shove yours down their throat. That's how it should be. Sorry, I know it's a tangent, but whenever I hear people say, oh, that's not the Christian way, I think of this friend who is a prime example of the Christian way. Tolerance and love is what every religion wants to spread. That's all. That's what religions come down to. Tolerance and love. The point of that was, I don't know what type of magic this woman was using. I don't know what type of energies were in those cards. I'm not going to touch someone's cards that I don't know the energies in them. Oh, well, that's ridiculous because if you go and you get a reading, you don't know who's touched them. I don't go and get readings. I read my own cards. If I were to go get a reading, there's one person that I would go to. She's somebody that I went to before I ever started reading, and she's someone that my dad used to go to. So that's why I would go to her, because I know that my dad went to her. If y'all don't know, my dad passed away 10 years ago. My dad's the one who actually got me into witchcraft. My dad never claimed he was practicing witchcraft, but my dad had crystals. My dad was getting his tarot cards read like once a week. My dad manifested even if he didn't say he was manifesting. My dad talked about using powers and energies. We're talking about the man that had his own personal astrologer. 2 days after I was born, he had his astrologer do my chart. Let's be real. My dad practiced witchcraft even if he never acknowledged it. Is it any wonder I turned out the way I did with him as my dad? I think that the jokes about that incident ended up going on for at least a month, where anytime that like something odd would happen, my coworker would be like, oh, it's his dead wife. Clock stopped working, realistically because the batteries ran out, but my coworker would look at me and go, oh, clock's not working. The dead wife's mad at you. One of our machines jammed, which happened all the time. It was common, but it was uncommon enough that it was still an irritation when it happened. Coworker would look at me and go, it's the dead wife. She's here messing with you. If I so much as tripped, dead wife tripped you, she's mad at you. I only saw this man, I want to say maybe twice after that incident. And neither time was he willing to come to me and let me help him. I genuinely think he held a grudge, which I understand that he just wanted his late wife's prized possession to go to good use. But I'm not insulting your wife. I'm just saying from my personal beliefs, I'm not going to use any secondhand tarot deck. Why are you upset with me? But also, why do you feel comfortable coming up to this stranger that you've never met before, ever, and be like, hey, do you want my dead wife's tarot deck? Who does that? Just be careful of what you say to people. Like, don't say dumb shit. I feel like that's such a simple, stupid statement to say, don't say dumb shit. But why would you say that to a stranger? Why would you just go up and be like, do you want my dead wife's tarot cards? The answer is going to be no. Had he said something more along the lines of, oh, I still have my wife's crystal collection. Are you interested in any crystals? Maybe that I would have taken. That's a totally different experience than the tarot cards. Also, phrase it differently. Even if it's like like my wife passed away, I'm going through her collection of witchcraft things. We have crystals and tarot cards that I'm looking for a new home for. Are you interested in any of them? That would be better than just looking at me and just going, do you want my dead wife's tarot cards? That's literally how he phrased it, and I still can't wrap my head around it. I am stating right now, for the record, if anything happens to me, I have a handful of friends that I want my collection of tarot cards divided between. Don't approach a stranger and ask if they want my tarot cards. So that was definitely the strangest experience I've had, which says a lot because between retail and the bank, I've had knives pulled on me. There was almost a gun incident, which that's a fun story. There were cops called plenty of times. There was somebody calling one of my favorite coworkers a cockroach and then screaming at me because I wasn't helping her fast enough. There have been experiences. There was an older man that got mad when my boss told him I was in a relationship and was not going to get together with him because he was like 70, and then decided every time that he would come in he was going to insult me and make me uncomfortable and sexually harass me. I've been cussed out countless times at both my old retail job and at the bank for following policy. Working with the public is not for the weak, and it's something I quite literally never want to do again. What about all of you? What's the weirdest thing that a stranger has ever said to you in public? It could be at work, it could be out on the streets, it can be anywhere. Just what's the weirdest thing a stranger has ever said to you? Also, if you want more stories about weird things that have happened to me while working, be it retail or at the bank, let me know. I have a plethora of weird stories of things that have happened to me working with the public. If you like the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. I put out new videos every Wednesday, Sunday, and then alternating Mondays and Fridays. That means that every other Friday is Feral Friday, where I post whatever the hell I feel like. When you do subscribe, make sure you hit the bell, otherwise YouTube will never tell you when I post new videos. It's a little bit broken like that. Make sure to comment down below what the weirdest thing that a stranger has ever said to you, because people are weird. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
I don't know, but I've been told the world outside is oh so cold. So cold.